Hey guys, Gemma from ASD Rocks. So firstly, obviously, I want to thank you all for not only the comments that were posted on the feed yesterday, but as well the many messages I got from so many people with such similar stories that it was so beautiful. However, there is one part, as it's Confessions Week, that I have not spoken about. And, oh my God, did I say Confessions Week? That's MAFS. I was watching MAFS last night. Okay, there is one part of the story that I have never spoken about. And it's something that a lot of people have asked about, and it's never been relevant up until now, and it's never been anyone's business up until now. But it is actually a very important part of my history and my story. And that is the story of the boy's dad and me. So, firstly, I would like to say, as a disclaimer, any names that I mention in this story are a matter of public record. Anything I say in regards to my knowledge of what went on is a matter of public record and can be easily looked up. I'm not saying anything that isn't already out there and that didn't happen to me directly, that I wasn't 100% there for. So, as you know, but it's traumatic. Do you know what? It's really traumatic. So I'm actually going to make my morning drink, and I'm going to, because one thing you should know if you're a follower is that stimming is a way to distract the brain from emotional sort of, not necessarily pain, but stimulus. And so moving distracts the brain. So I'm going to actually, you know what, it's because it's going to be difficult to talk about this. So I'm going to make my morning breakfast drink while I tell you. So, okay, so it starts off, as you all know, Richard and I used to be professional skiers, which we did all around the world, and we wanted to settle down and have kids. We've been doing it for enough years. Quite frankly, 300 days a year on snow and not having seen a summer can take its toll. But mostly, even though many people did have children and take them on the circuit, whether it be European or to America. Some people I know had like a house in America and a house in Australia, and they would go every 6 months, northern, southern hemisphere. Not what we were going to do, not what I was going to do, absolutely not. During this time, Richard met a very well-off businessman who at the time owned a company called HLP. It was a mortgage investments company. He became very fond of Richard, as everybody does, and he knew that we wanted to settle down. So Peter offered Richard a job to work for him in his company, and he discussed it with me, Richard, obviously, and it was an opportunity for us to have a family and settle down and get out of, once you're in your late 20s, any athletic career is over, unless you're a chess player. So, Richard went to work for Peter Berlowitz at HLP Mortgage, whatever it was. And on the day that Beau was born, literally on the day, so on the 20, I'm not going to tell you when Beau was born. What am I doing? So, this is what stimming does. It just stops you from realizing what you're doing. So, on the day Beau was born, Richard received a phone call, and we have a company here called ASIC. It's the Australian Securities Company that basically, it's the watchdog and all of that sort of stuff. And Peter rang Richard on the day and said that the company was being put under investigation, blah, blah, blah. So I'm in labour. Peter assures Richard nothing will happen. Do not worry. Everything will be fine. Now, up until this point, Richard's wages hadn't exactly been paid. No, not consecutive, like routine. They hadn't exactly been coming through when they're supposed to come through. And he only ever paid monthly, which was really, really hard and really annoying. Whatever. Now, what you will already know about Richard, as everybody does, he is just the most loyal and incredibly, there's just, I don't know if it's literally the autism in him, but he's just so intelligent, he always rises to the top. It's like he's just, no matter what situation you put him in, usually within a work environment, he's like oil on water. He gets into a company and boom, immediately. It's his nature. He's quiet, he's reserved, he's, the way he thinks, it's just, honestly, he is just one of the most phenomenal human beings I've ever come across. So, then wages started becoming more and more, or less and less, should I say, until there were days where, the boss of this company was turning up on our door with, envelopes of cash just to pay wages. And the way that Peter convinced Richard to keep going with him and whatnot was that, oh my God, thinking back on it now, honestly, it's embarrassing to say, was that if we sold our apartment and invested in his new company, because he was shutting down the old one. He was just going to shut down the old one, start a new one. Now, I was in my 20s. I just had a baby. I really didn't know much about what was going on in regards to Richard's. I just knew there wasn't any money coming in and it was freaking me out. So I was having a little bit of, Richard and I was starting to fight, basically. And anyway, long story short. Ultimately, we invested absolutely everything in this Ponzi scheme that Peter Berlowitz started up, and one day ASIC knocked on our door with badges, they don't make appointments, and started asking all these questions about all these people. Within days, everything was frozen. Not our accounts, because he was just an employee, so it wasn't, but we hadn't been paid in years, right? And we'd sold everything we had and invested it into, which is what this guy did. That's exactly what he was good at. I mean, how do you have a Ponzi scheme? How do you start a Ponzi scheme without being really good at getting people to like sell the only things they have and live off tinned food while they work for you and don't pay you wages? Richard and I were fighting already because we didn't have any money. We'd lost, or when everything folded, we'd lost. This is already now 3 years later, right? So this has been going on for quite some time, and tensions are growing. And then to jump forward, I had Finn. Investigations were still going on because these things take a long time, and Richard is so kind-hearted that he really, really wanted to believe. He really wanted to believe that everything would work out, you know, that we would get our money back and our house and our car and our everything. Like he really, he really and he felt so bad. You know, I know he did. Anyway, one day, Richard comes down the stairs and he lies down. Finn's 6 months old and I'm breastfeeding him. Bo's 3, non-verbal, not toileted. Oh my gosh. He was 3 and we've only been going through the autism thing for like sort of a year and a bit, trying to work out what's going on with that. We'd been living off, we don't even have food stamps in this country, so I don't know what you would call it, but like, you know, literally tinned, everything that we had went towards the kids and speech therapy, and there were days where we didn't eat. Orange juice was like super, like if you can afford orange juice, you got money. Right? Like that's, you know, you don't know that until you've been dirt poor. And Richard came down the stairs. People went to jail. Richard came down the stairs and he lay down and he said, my back, it's in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. And he lay down and he said, I can't get up. I'm done. And I said, done? What do you mean you're done? Tomorrow's coming. Actually, it's not that bad, but it's really, 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 really good for you. Yeah, there's no I'm done with a 6-month-old baby and a 3-year-old completely like severe autistic child. But he was done. And an ambulance came, took him away. And I was left at home with no income, 2 very young children. One, as I said, you know, obviously Bo being severely autistic, and no ability to pay any bills, buy any food, or, you know, keep the roof over the kid's head. Now, the truth is that this was completely psychosomatic. His back, the hospital couldn't find anything wrong with his back, but they sent him off to rehab and he stayed there for a number of months. While I did everything I could to keep my children alive, and with a roof over their head, because it did get to the point. Hold on, I think I can hear my dog getting into Chops. Don't you dare. She eats my medication and I can't have her on there. Chops! Now, quick! Get down, I'm not joking. Now! Not funny, you're not allowed upstairs. Let's go, quick, quick, quick. No more. Come on, no, you have to follow me. No more Valium for you. No. I'm so sorry. Cutting the even longer story short. Richard stayed in hospital. I got arrested for trying to steal food for the kids because I had no money. And I was broke. I mean, literally, like, next step was homelessness with a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old autistic toddler. One day I was sitting at home breastfeeding Finn, and my mother walked in, and I was sitting on the floor, and I'd been crying for so long that no actual water was coming out anymore. I was just like, I mean, I was crying. I just didn't have any water left. And she took one look at me and she went, "Oh my God, I'm taking you to the doctor." So she took me off to the doctor to get me onto some antidepressants. Now, by the way, I'd like to say that it is in this time that I had my suicidal thought, which has now created a diagnosis as of yesterday of this suicidal ideation, which I think 15 years ago, going through what I went through, is absolutely goddamn rational to have a suicidal thought. And this suicidal thought was not like, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. How can I kill myself? It was, if this keeps going, like if it goes the way it keeps going. I was driving and I was like, if I just drove off the road, I'd take the kids with me because there's just no one that could look after the kids. So my mum took me to the doctor. I'm going to wrap it up really quick now. My mum took me to the doctor. I got on some my first course ever. That was when I started on my anti-anxiety or antidepressants. That's when I started on Lexapro. And I just knew that if I didn't do something to fix the situation, it's like you have to hit bottom. I mean, real bottom. And I think for me, it was being at the police station, having been arrested for stealing food for the boys. And look, I gotta say, the police were actually amazing. They listened to my story. They empathized with me. They didn't place charges. I wasn't charged. I didn't go to jail. Having said that, I was sitting in the police station with like snot pouring out, crying, and they're like, "Oh, hun, like seriously. We have people in here that like we arrest for stealing food from the supermarket who are like, hey, and I'm going to do it tomorrow. What are you going to do about it?" But you know what? That's not me, and it's not my life. And I really was I was out of ideas, and I just didn't know what to do, how to feed my children, my family. I couldn't get a job with an severely autistic 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. And I just knew that if I didn't do something to fix it, no one else would. And I think that was the day that, oh, so I couldn't, you're going to all ask, why didn't you call the government, blah, blah, blah. At that stage, Richard and I were still married and together, and so I couldn't call and ask for like single parent support. And because he had been working and was just in hospital, he wasn't technically unemployed. So I was in a gap. I was in this gap where I couldn't get any government support. I couldn't get any help from anywhere because I didn't fit into any category. So I sat down about 2 months, I think it was probably, about a month into Richard being in hospital. And I sat down and I thought, okay, what can I do? What work can I do with a 6-month-old that needs to come with me, no matter what I do, because I'm still breastfeeding? And Bo, I knew I could do 3 days a week because Bo went to Southern Autistic School for a couple of hours throughout the week. And that's when I started my company, teaching the elderly how to use technology. So I figured, what can I do? I can use technology. I don't need to be a whiz. I don't need to be, I just need to be better than them, right? Like mostly it was changing the clock on the microwave, showing them how to do a DVD timer recorder, helping them with the remotes. This is 15 years ago. So, don't remember, QR codes weren't a thing. Email and actually online banking was really the biggest, scariest thing that was out there. Online banking was like, none of my clients did that. And I just went around with Finn in his bassinet thing and I knocked on retirement village doors and I just said, does anybody need help learning how to use this stuff in their home? And after about 2 months of doing that, and taking the kids in, not that Finn or Bo, maybe Bo might remember, but look, this stuff he remembers is crazy, I don't know. And I went into Richard in hospital and I said, so listen, I've known you for a long time. I've known you for a long time. And I've started this company. I know that, they can't find anything wrong with your back, but I've started this company, and if you want to work with me, or if you want to work for me, then, I think we could keep building it, and maybe you could get out of hospital. So I offered him a job and he was out like within 2 days. So we did that and we built that. And that's sort of the end of that story, except for my part of it, which I need to explain. It is incredibly difficult to have someone give up on you and your family like that, to lie down and say, I'm done. However, I cannot be angry with him for having effectively a nervous breakdown. I can't. I've done it. And I refuse to. So when we broke up, we didn't go through court. We didn't have lawyers. There's no custody. We sat down and discussed it. I told him that he could continue working for me. That wasn't a problem. And we've remained incredibly good friends ever since. but I do have trust issues. And don't think that over the last 15 years we haven't discussed, you know, everything, and that we haven't sort of seen eye to eye and had our moments where we've spoken about it and really sort of tried to sort of whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say now. But look, that's the story. We are not together in the biblical sense. I do not blame him for what happened. I blame him a lot for what happened before he had his nervous breakdown, because I was yelling and screaming at the dude to leave this. It just was fishy to me. But again, now we're going back 20 years ago. So you know what? I just got to let that shit go. But at the time, after that had happened, I lost all trust in pretty much everyone and anyone, which is why I've ended up in the situation I'm in today, because I then, from that moment, said, that's it. I can't trust anyone. I have to do it all myself. If it's going to be done, it needs to be me. So that's why I am the one that does the NDIS. I am the one that organises, Beau's therapies. I'm the one that does, all that stuff. And that is very highly the root reason why I ended up overwhelmed, overworked, overstressed, and in hospital for a week. Okay, wasn't months. I got what I needed to do done. I've come back. I'm fighting harder and stronger. But the point is that Richard is a good guy. He's a really, really good guy. I really like him. And I know that, he loves his family. And ultimately, in every sense of the word, we are a family. We make decisions together about what is right and wrong for the kids, because he is the father and I am the mother. And that will never change, whether we are married or not, whether we are sleeping together or not, okay? He loves his boys so much. You know how much he's here. You see, every minute he can be here, he is here. Now, he still works for me, which is great. Actually, he works for him now because I got rid of that to him, so he has control and has something of his own. And I'm doing this because I want to help people through the experience, not what I went through with the Ponzi scheme and being dirt poor and losing a marriage and a house and everything, but more what I've been through in the autism world. So I hope that this gives everybody some more clarity, because I do know that everybody, everyone asks, everyone wants to know. I don't know why it matters what my relationship with Richard is. And I know it's unconventional, because 90% of people who break up either won't speak to each other ever again, as in my parents, who haven't spoken since I was 10, refused to almost be in the same room as each other, juvenile. Quite frankly, my father, I don't think look, that set aside. I refused, and I will always refuse to hold on to a grudge over something that happened so long ago. And I mean, why would I want to be so miserable? Why would I want to carry that anger around with me? Shit happened. It went down. It wasn't good. You know, okay, we have kids and we're going to be connected forever. There's just, you know, let's just sort out their lives. Richard is a great person. He is an amazing man. He is dedicated and loyal, you know, and I respect him in every way that anyone would respect another person. I actually respect him more because I've known him longer. But I have trust issues, and I don't think I could ever, and they're my issues to deal with, but I don't think I could ever rely on anybody ever again. I will never put myself in a position where someone can take my house, where I'm relying on someone else's income. I'm not saying I'll never be heartbroken again, because that has happened a few times since Richard and I broke up. But my house stayed. They left. Right? And that was the only thing, other than, oh, I'm miserable and I'm sad and woe is me, and eventually, you know, you get over it. I will never, you know, I clawed my way out of that hole, and I left fingernails on the way up, trying to create stability and safety for the kids. And I can't see a time that I would or could ever trust anyone to, I just, yeah, look, that's how it is. So now you know the situation, and you don't have to keep asking. Yes, Richard and I are very close. Yes, we know each other very well. Yes, we know each other brilliantly. I met him when I was 20 years old. So, you know, and we will always be together and around each other because we have children together. Now, what happens when those children grow up and move out? I don't know how our friendship will continue, but regardless of that, it's going to be a long time before Beau's independent anyway. So it's going to be at least another 10 years, according to a couple of people I've spoken to recently. So, yeah, that happened, which I think is a major contributor to the reason that I ended up in hospital, because I have voluntarily taken on everything, because I just don't trust that anybody else can do it or will do it. That's a flaw in me, right? Understand, I'm not blaming anything or anyone. My flaw is that my experience of relying on someone has altered me so significantly that the words, I have to do it, because otherwise I just don't know if it'll get done, you know. I need to take him for, you know, I need to fill out the paperwork because I've been doing it for 15 years. Who else can do that? You know, I have to do everything. I have to. I don't mind doing it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it is all on me. And there's a reason it's all on me. And that is my choice. And I am trying so hard to get help. You know, I've been in therapy for a long time trying to sort of undo the damage that I've done to myself by not being able to trust anybody. So yeah, that is, I think that it is a really important part for you guys to know, because other than the fact that everybody constantly is always asking about the relationship between Richard and I, other than that, it was never anyone's business or whatever. But now, after, you know, being so overwhelmed and ending up in hospital and being so completely just, I don't know what the word is. This is part of the story. There is a reason that I am so overwhelmed and that I am so completely drowning and tired of fighting. And if you add that to the story from yesterday, once again, I think it's okay that I went cuckoo for a week, but I'm back and I was showered. Look at me, here I am, day 2, drinking my revolting whatever this is, vegetable juice thing. I got work done yesterday. I will get work done today. We have some massive things going on with Bo. I need to find him a wheelie bag. I've already taken a video of that for you, but I just wanted to get this out of the way and let you know. Now, you guys, honestly, if you're a long-time viewer of ASD Rocks, if you've been here for a while, you now literally know my entire life story. Welcome. And maybe, you know what, now that some of you do know how horrific some of my journey has been, or maybe if you're not an ASD rocker and you're coming across this and you've been one of those people that has just been, you know, rude, just rude, maybe you'll step back and go, oh my gosh, you know, maybe I won't write to this woman and tell her that her voice is annoying, because I'm really sorry. I have done a lot in my life to try and change so much, but there are some things I can't control. And if you don't like the sound of my voice, you are very, very welcome not to watch these videos. ASD Rocks, guy.